Hakadosh Boker Or Masechet Gittin Daf Amud Aleph 24A1. We were trying to make right now. Let's just start on the bottom. We have in accordance to Abaye. Rabbi Shmuel Lazar says the name of Rabbi Akiva. A woman is believed to bring her own get because of a kal v'chomer. If right now the women that they said the Chachamim said that they're not going to believe to say that the husband died, they are believed to bring the get. She is believed to say that the husband died. Isn't it that she's going to be believed to bring her own get? So says the Gemara, Makom Shabata, from the place that you came, yeah. Male hala, and just like over there, tzikot sheyomru, they have to say v'nei. So too, a woman has to say v'nei nechtam. Amar Ravashi, says Ravashi, matzit namidaika. You could actually deduce it from the Mishnah. Tiktani, as we learned in a Braita. Haisha atzma mevia gita. A woman could bring her own get, but she has to say shema v'nei. So therefore, shema mina, we learn from here that also beforehand was matim the same thing to do with bringing the get from chutzaretz. But of Yosef, and according to Rav Yosef, how does he explain our Mishnah? Right? Because he's coming and saying that we're talking about from chutzaretz. So we have a question on Rav Yosef. So he says, Reisha v'seifa b'chutzaretz, the beginning part of the Mishnah, and the seifa, the beginning part of the Mishnah that says that it's pasul to bring the get, or the end of the Mishnah that says a woman is obligated to bring the get, is talking about chutzaretz. But mitziata, but the middle case, we're talking about from Eretz Yisrael. Okay, is that really the case? So says Gemara, yes, meaning sometimes that happens. The Reisha and Seifa is talking about that you're bringing a get from Chutzaretz, and therefore you have to say Farentam, and therefore since we're relying upon them, we don't want to believe them all the time. But Metziata, but the middle case is talking about an Eretz Yisrael, and therefore since it's Eretz Yisrael, it's going to be a different halacha. Says the Gemara Mimai, right? How do we know, right, that why is the middle case different? Midiktani ma ben get mita. Because we said, what's the difference between get and mita? We said, shaktav mochiach, that there's a piece of paper. Meaning, when somebody just comes and says somebody died, they don't need any proofs. It's not like they need a piece of paper. It comes from their mouth. Here, they have a piece of paper. It's a get. Shaktav, right to peh mochiach. It's a ktav in the mouth. The ktav, and what you're saying, that in itself is going to be mochiach, like what they just said. Okay? Fine. Says the two dots. We said the woman could bring her own get. Says the Gemara, I don't understand you. What does it mean she's bringing her own get? The second that she has the get in her hand, she's divorced. So what does that mean? She brings her own get. To do what? She received the get. Gamanu. Yeah? So he says, Amar Ravuna says, no, Beomer lo titkashibo ela bifne bedin ploni. Says, no. He gave her the get, but he told her, you're not going to be divorced until you go to this bedin, and then it's said, and that's where you're going to be divorced. That means even though the get came to her hand, she's only a shaliach until she gets to this betin ploni. And once she's in this betin ploni, now she gets divorced with this get. So says the Gemara, fine, but sof kimati ahatam. But the second that she comes into the betin, she's already divorced, right? He told her, kimati tatam, when you get there, you have to put it down and pick it up again.
That's not what we said in the past. In the past, we said when he gives it to her, like this guy who smoked his cigarette and then he gave him the get and she was divorced.
It's not a get. That was a divorce bill. Never compare. Yeah? One more time. First of all, we're talking about when a person's coming and he's giving a get. When it gets to her hand, she gets divorced once he gives her the get. That's what we asked. We asked if she gets the get immediately, there's nothing what to talk about. So the Gemara answers, he made a t'nai. And the t'nai was, you're not divorced right now. When you get to this certain place, now you're going to be divorced. Says the Gemara, but the second that you walk into the room, you're already divorced. So what do you need now in front of the bedin? Right? You got to the bedin. And says the Gemara, he told her, no, you have to put it down and pick it up again.
So when the husband gives it to her, there's not.
Says the Gemara, one second. If he tells her that when you get there, you have to put it on the floor and pick it up again, that's ki'ilu, somebody that comes and he says, pick up your get from the floor. The Amar Rava, and Rava says, he didn't say anything. Because since it has to be v'natam biyada, it has to be that he's giving it to her. He's not giving it to her. He's telling her, collect it from the floor. Ella, but rather the Amala that he told her, right? He told her, have a shliach leolacha d'matitatam. You're going to become a shliach leolacha until you get there. And once you already get there, right? Have a shliach, right? Lekabbalah. You're going to be a shliach lekabbalah. Okay? V'kabliyat gitech. And then you're going to receive it. You know, so what happened? Very interesting. He went and he told her, until now, when you're going to go, you're going to be considered what? A shliach leolacha. Shliach leolacha means a shliach to take it there. When you get there already, you're going to switch from a shliach leolacha to a shliach kabbalah to receive it. So ask the Gemara, Yeah, but it never came back to the Baal, right? Which means, and therefore it's batel, because such a shlichut doesn't help. Meaning she can become divorced from this. So how does this work? So you said, you know, you're right. The Amarla that he told her, you're going to be a shliach lo lecha until you get there. When you're there, shavi shliach lekabbalah, make somebody else a shliach lekabbalah. Meaning he cannot come and change her shlichut status in the middle if she's already there. It means that you are a shliach lo lecha until you get there. When you get there, you make a shliach lekabbalah. That's for yourself. And then when that person receives it for you, you're divorced. So Hani Chalaman Amar, this is good according to the Mandamar that says Isha shliach lekabel gita miyad shliach bala. That a woman could make a shliach kabbalah from a shliach holacha of the husband. You understood? Which means that a woman could make a shliach to receive her get from the hands of a shliach of the husband, because she's acting as a shliach of the husband of holacha. Now she has to come and make a shliach lekabel gita from the shliach of the husband. But according to the Manda Amar, Ena Isha Otsa Shliach lekabel gita miyad shliach shel bala. Micah, what are you going to say? So says the Gemara, Tamamai, the reasoning why you cannot do that is because Ika bizayon the Baal. It's a bizayon for the husband, because he wants the kilu kavanata is like levazato, that she doesn't want to take the get herself. She's going to get somebody else to pick it up. Meaning, if I'm going to give you a present and then you don't come and pick it up, you send somebody else. It's like, I'm giving you something. You're not going to. You have the respect. You're coming yourself. What are you sending this Joshua? I don't need the Joshua. I want you to come. Yeah. So the same thing. But here, the husband is not makpid. Right? Why? Because he's making her into a shliach, and then he's telling her, go make the shliach kabbalah. So that's why there's no problem with doing such a thing. So says the Gemara, okay, fine, but that's only good according to the Mandamar. The whole the entire reasoning is because of bizayon Baal. Right? But according to the Mandamar, is because of the chatzera bala chamikem, because it's her chatzer, which is coming afterwards. Which means that this is compared to like a woman that she's buying a chatzer after the husband already threw the get inside. Imagine the husband throws a get inside of a certain place. She goes and she buys the property. Can she now acquire the get? No, it's already too late. Because basically, since the get was already thrown in before she acquired the chatzer, so if it doesn't help. So what are you going to say? So answers the Gemara, he told her, you're going to be a shliach lo lecha until you get there. And when you get there, shavi make a shliach lo lecha and receive the get from the shliach lo lecha, which means that now he's not telling her make yourself a shliach kabbalah. You are the mekabelet of the get. You are receiving your own get. But what you do is you're shliach number one. You get there, she's going to make shliach number two, and now the shliach number two is going to give it back to her, but it's to her directly. It's not a shliach kabbalah. It's to her directly. That's going to be one answer. And therefore, by doing that, there's no bizayon of the husband, there's nothing, right? And then she has to say, she's in the bedin. If you want, you could also answer another answer. The Mala, they told her, you're going to be a shliach lo lecha until you get there. And when you get there, right, Emar Kamedina, you're going to say, right, in front of the din, right, you're going to come and say, and then the mashvi bedina shliach, the shliach, the bedin will make a shliach, and they will give it to you. So if it's the bedin, the ones that are doing it, hadran alach amevi get.
It wasn't.
Now starting the next chapter, this is going to be Perek Shlishi, chapter 3, on Kaf Daled Amud Aleph towards the bottom. It says the Mishnah, Kol get shenichtav shelo lishum isha pasul. Any get that was not written for the sake of a woman is going to be pasul. Ketzad, what are we talking about then? Hayav ver bashuk v'shema kol shel sofrim makrim. So imagine right now he's in the shuk and he hears people that they're sofrim, they're writing gittin, and they're teaching to their students. Ish ploni megareshet plonit imakom ploni. So this man, right, is divorcing his wife plonit in this certain place. V'amar, and he says, one second, zeshmi v'zeshem ishti. The guy comes and he says, Mina Shamayim. Look what a siman. That's my name, right? And that's my wife's name. Yeah? Pasul legareshbo. Right? It's pasul legareshbo. Why? It wasn't Ishma. Chazak Baruch. David's on the ball. Yeah? Finally. You tell me, Ken, more than that. Katav legareshet ishto. Right? He comes and he's going to write. I meant the David that's here. Yeah? He says, Katav legareshet ishto. Yeah? And he writes to divorce his own wife. V'niblach. And he's chazarbo. He retracts. Mitzao beniro. He finds somebody else in the city. And he says, one second. I heard, maybe it's in the mazal in the names. I heard that you also had the Shalom Bayit issues, no? Your name is like my name. Your wife is like my wife's name. What's the problem? Shemi keshimcha, Shem ishti keshem ishtecha. Why not? Go ahead. Here it is. Here's the get for free. Pasul legareshbo. Also the same thing. It's pasul legareshbo. Yeah. Continues the Mishnah in Kavdala de Mubet 24b. Yater miken, a third case. Hayu lo shte nashim. What happens if he has two wives? Yeah. Once upon a time, it used to happen. Yeah. Two wives. Ushte nashim ushmoten shavot. They have the same names. Imagine frecha number 1 and frecha number 2. Yeah. So you've got same names. Very interesting why he chose that, but fine, no questions asked. Katav legaresh et hagdola lo yigaresh bo et haktana. If he wanted to divorce the older one,
He chose what?
what?
Well, he chose what?
Why did he choose two wives with the same name? Ribono shel olam.
You said frecha.
No, I said frecha number 1 and frecha number 2.
Afterwards?
Yeah,
20 years after.
yeah, it could be, maybe right. They both were frecha, and the frecha number 1, the older one and the younger one.
Oh,
So if he wrote it to get divorced for the older one, because he wanted some fresh blood, he could not divorce the younger one.
זה פאני.
Okay.
פאני ופאני זה שתי פאני.
Okay. Yater miken, another fourth case now. Amar la lavlar. He comes and he tells the lavlar. Lavlar is a sofer. So he comes and he says, right? He tells the sofer, ketov le'ezu shertze hagaresh, pasul legaresh mo. What if he just told him, you know what? Right? Ini mini mani mo, you decide. You understood? You decide. You understood? Meaning, whichever one. He's got two wives. He tells the sofer, you decide whichever one to divorce. Right? He has to divorce one of them. So divorce whichever one you want. Okay? Fine. Says the Gemara. Until you're clear. No, it's very simple. Basically, slacking with Shema. Doesn't matter whether it was that he heard the sofrim and he says, it's my name. Doesn't matter whether he went and he wanted to use that one and then he decided not to, so he wanted to give it to somebody else. Doesn't matter whether he had the two wives with the same name and he can't use for one for the other. Or number 4, Bichlal, tells the sofer, whichever one you want. No, it has to be written Lishma. Okay? Fine. Says the Gemara, Katav legaresh et ishto menimlach. We're going straight to the second case. Yeah, he comes and he wanted to divorce. He wanted to get to divorce his wife, and then actually he decided not to. He retracted. Yeah. So says the Gemara, Ve'la reisha b'mai. What's the first case? Right? The first case was that he was passing by the shuk, and he heard them doing that. So therefore, what was that dealing with? The Sofrim for sure wrote the get for somebody. Meaning, what's going on here? In the first case, he was passing by and he heard the Sofrim saying, this guy is going to divorce this woman in this place. He says, that's my name. If they're writing a get, that means they're writing it for somebody. So therefore, what's the difference between the first case and the second case? Because the second case was, he wrote a get for somebody, and then he decided not to, and he wants to give it to somebody else. But then that's the first case. So Amar Rav Papa says, no. They were only learning how to write gittin. They weren't actually writing a real get. So therefore, the first case is that they were learning how to write it, but they actually weren't writing a real get. The second case, they were writing a real get, and then he decided to change it. Okay, for number Mr. A to Mr. B. But again, Mr. A and B still have the same names. Okay, so Amar Ravashi says that we could also deduce that from the fact that it says, where from the fact that it says Sofrim Makrim, the Sofrim, they're going to come and they're going to they were reading it, and it doesn't say Kor'in, which means that we're not saying that they're reading in themselves what they're writing, but they're makri'im to other people. How do you write a get? So if they've got talmidim and they're teaching them, right, how do you write a get? Okay, yeah. Ma yeter miken, ask the Gemara, what does it keep saying in the Mishnah? Yeter miken, more than that. Did you realize the first case, right, was kol get shenichtav shelo l'shem yishut pasul, and we ask Keitzad this and that, right? Then all of a sudden we say yeter miken, more than this. Third case, yeter miken. Fourth case, yeter miken. What's going on? So says the Gemara, right? So says the Gemara, ma yeter miken. Tana de Rishmael, we learned in the Academy of Rishmael, lo ze shenichtav shelo l'shem girushim. Not only something which was not written for girushim, right? Ela av says shenichtav, even if it was written l'shem girushim, it's still going to be pasul. Meaning the first case wasn't written to divorce at all. It was written to learn. The second case was written to divorce, but divorce somebody else. Then he says, and not only that, right? It says the second case was written L'Shem Girushim. So one more time. First case was written L'Shem Litlamed. Litlamed means to learn. Second case, Legaresh, to divorce. But it wasn't him. Third case, it was to divorce for him, but not the right wife. And the fourth case, he says, "Shenitah l'shem girushin didei pasul velo zeh shelo nitah l'shem girushin ha elav shenitah l'shem girushin ha pasul." But he says in the Seifa, it was even in the case where it's going to be the Shem Girushin, right? But it's going to still be pasul. Because one more time, the first case was not L'Shem Girushin, second case was L'Shem Girushin. The third case was Girushin Day, right? And therefore in the second case was not. Because the second one was just stam to divorce, right? Yeah. And then the last one is Shelo Lichtev L'Shem Girushin ha ela af ha. Okay, Shelo L'Shem ha. It's still going to be pasul. It's still going to be pasul. Why? Because he needs on her. That means not only does it have to be that, again, first 4 cases in the Mishnah. First case was litlamed, to learn. Lo l'shem girushin. Says the Gemara, yetem, he can not only is this going to be pasul, even if it was a shem girushin, but not for him, it's still pasul. That's case number 2. It was a shem girushin, but not for him. Not only is it going to be that case pasul, even if it was for him, it's still pasul. Because he wanted to divorce the older one and not the younger one, right? Or the vice versa. So it's also going to be pasul, even though it's for him. The fourth case is, even if it's going to be for him and for the woman, but it wasn't dafka this woman. I mean, just whichever one, right? Yeah, you mean no. He has to come and tell him it has to be for this woman. Okay, therefore it's going to be also pasul. My time, what's the reasoning? If it was written, if it was written, you have to write a sever kritut in her hand. I would say that it cannot be the first case. It wasn't a shem kritut. But if it was written that he wanted to divorce his wife and then he decided not to, that it was done the shem kritut, I would have said it's kasher. Katav rachmana v'katav. What does it mean v'katav? That the baal that's megaresh has to write it. And if somebody else wrote it, it's not the baal megaresh. It's v'katav. He himself has to write it. You understand? He himself has to come and he has to write it. Okay, that's why it comes and it says v'katav rachmana. Now, if that's what it says v'katav. If the Torah would have written the katav, I would have said that if it's not going to be for him, but if he's got 2 wives, that he is the one that's writing it. Again, not him physically, because he could always make a sofer, the shliach, but it just means that it's for him. So ema kasher, I would have said it's kasher. Katav rachmana, la means lishma, for her. So that means it doesn't have to be, right? That means one more time. If it was not written kiritut, I would have thought that the first case was kasher. But now that it's written sever kritut, the first case litlamed is not kasher. Learning is not sever kritut. The second case, which is kritut, okay, it's good, but that's why it's written v'katav. He has to write it for himself. So fine, he wrote it for himself. The third case was he was writing it for himself, but just for 2 different wives, right. And he wanted to switch. Right. So he says no, la for her, lishma. So says the Gemara, okay, so why do I need the last case? The last case was basically that you're just learning to me. Yeah. So he comes and he says hakmashvalan dem breda. There's no such thing as breda. What is breda? Breda means I'm doing something, and then after I've done it, retroactively, I'm going to say it went on this. We don't do that, right? That's the chidush. So we're not going to say breda, that when you wrote it, retroactively, you had in mind this one that you're giving it to. No, we don't do that. Okay? Fine. Next, 2 dots. If a person comes and he wants to be megaresh gdola, he cannot be megaresh ktana. Means he still wants to divorce the older one, he cannot divorce the younger one. Says the Gemara, he cannot get the younger one. But you could do the older one. So he says, Rava says, when it comes out, when you have 2 Yosef and Shimons living in the same city, right? What? Each one could come and bring out a shtar chov and somebody else? Understood the case?
2 guys have the same name?
Yeah. So now it's going to come out that you're going to be able to bring out a shtar chov. I'm going to find somebody that's a David ben Shlomo. Yeah? I'm going to come and I'm going to lend them money. I'm going to come to you. Give me the money. You know what are you talking about?
I'm talking about shtar chov here.
I just said shtar chov.
Okay.
Motzin shtar chov al acherim. Right? What does that mean? That if one's going to come, he's going to say, no, I didn't borrow from you. I borrowed from another guy. Right? So therefore it's from him. Don't come to me. Yeah? So what's going to happen? You could always do that. Imagine right now, I'm going to come with Mordechai bar Amram. Say, no, it's not me. And there's another Mordechai.
שטר שדים.
מה הקשר? אבל זה לא עליי.
נכון.
אוקיי.
זה שדים שיגידו שזה לא עליך.
בסדר, עדים רק אומרים שהשטר כשר.
שאני עכשיו, נגיד מישהו רוצה להלוות ממני כסף.
עדים. Elmaleh, Abaye says the matters we're going to bring a proof now. Reisha diktani, the Reisha says, Shemi ki shimcha, my name is like your name. Pasul legaresh bo. But the second person, they cannot be megaresh. Well, the first one could. He says what? You can say the same thing. Meaning we said that only there was a problem of lishma. So since there's a problem with lishma, the second person got divorced with it. But 1 second, the first person could use it to divorce? Yes. It was done lishma. But 1 second, you have the same question. You have a shtar chov that could come out on the guy. What are you going to tell me then? Bede mesira. You have the din of the mesira. Rabbi Lazar here, and it's Rabbi Lazar. Achanami, so to you, bede mesira Rabbi Lazari. Which means that here there's something special. When they're giving over the din are going to be giving over, right? The din are going to be giving over, meaning the get is going to be given over in front of the din. Those are called the demesira. And the demesira or the ikar, demesira karte. So because of that, it's going to be okay. Meaning that it's not that. Why? There's going to be 2 witnesses. There's going to be this Mr. X giving it to Mrs. X. You understand? That's the entire concept. So Rav comes and he says, Kulan, all the Gittin in our Mishnah, poslim bekiuna. Which means that if right now he actually used it, she becomes pasul to the kuhana, she becomes a grusha. Which means now he has to give her another get, right? Chutz min rishon, except for the first one. Meaning, even though we said in our Mishnah all the cases were pasul, you're not supposed to get divorced with him. Whatever, so the guy came and he gave it. Now she's considered divorced. He still has to give her another get. Not yet. He has to give her another get. But she's psula, right? She's psula lekiuna, except for the first one. The first one is nothing. Nada. Okay? The first case is nothing. You heard? Nothing. Okay. So says the Gemara, Shmuel says, no, even the first case is going to be posel. Right? The other Shmuel and Tamen, Shmuel goes according to this. We bring them a Shmuel, get pasul. Whenever it says get pasul, pasul posel. It means that it's pasul, but it's poselota also. Chalitza psula, it's psula or posela minachim. Whenever it says chalitza psula, the same thing. It's pasul, which means that she still needs another chalitza, but it's poselata minachim. Now she can't do any more yibum. As I said, that means basically there's like something which is called reach haget. Reach haget means that there's like a sound of a get. There's something, there's a smell of a get. There's something here. Once there's something here, that's it. She's divorced. It wasn't a good divorce. She needs another get. Doesn't matter. She's already considered divorced. And therefore, now she's not allowed to get married to a Kohen. So what's enough kamina? Let's say she got this get, and we just said the get is pasul. Now we need another get from the husband. The husband drops dead. So if it was not a good get, technically now she's an almanah. She's not a grusha. But the fact that there was reach a get, there was a smell of a get, she's still considered like a grusha. She's not allowed to get married to a Kohen, but she's like a grusha. Okay? So b'ma'arava amre mishmed Rabbi Lazar. In Eretz Yisrael, they said the name of Rabbi Lazar, Stemol, right? Velayla, pesulot upsulot. To do with, we're talking about chalitza. If you did chalitza with the left foot, right? That's called putting your foot in it, yeah? In the left foot instead of the right foot, or you did it in the nighttime, right? Because chalitza that's done in the nighttime is going to be pasul, but it's also poseh. Katan, right? Let's say he was a katan, vampilia. And let's say it was a na'al of a bad, meaning that it wasn't like a regular shoes, it was shoes of na'alaim of bad. Psulot ve'en puslot. These are psulot, but they do not puseh. Okay, and then we continue with Hashem tomorrow.